It's time for the Take a Seat podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Howell. Please take a seat. Good morning, everyone. This is TakeASeat.tv. I'm your host, Kevin Howell, and this morning we have an exciting couple joining us as entrepreneurs. They are from the Refillery, and without further ado, let me introduce Sam and Dom Moleta. Welcome, Sam and Dom. Great to have you guys on the show.
Morning Kevin.
How's it?
Right, Sam. So I spoke to you earlier on, and I met Dom this morning. So I was driving around in my car around Woodhill as the Woodlands Mall, and I saw Dom's car, and I thought, these are great people. This is he drives an X6 with the Refillery branding on the side. I thought this must be a significant company. So I thought, let me make contact with you guys and find out what's happening.
That's awesome. So, I'm glad you did.
Right.
Glad somebody noticed it.
Absolutely. It was significant. So just so the viewers know who you guys are, let's just tell them about who you guys are. Sam and Dom Moleta, where you from, how you got together, and then how all of this started.
Cool. Well, so basically, Dom and I met overseas in France because Dom's a Kiwi, I'm South African. We both met while we were looking for jobs in
We'll forgive you, Sam. We'll forgive you.
At least he's not Australian. Look, if we're going to lose to somebody in rugby, I'll let it be them. But
Really the best ones.
So we did. We met over there and travelled and worked in the yachting industry at sea for 5-6 years, which was amazing. A great experience. We worked incredibly hard, so it taught us a lot about that. But working at sea, we kind of got to a point where no, married couple, we need a double bed instead of bunk beds. So we moved to land and we opened up a hotel resort, a private resort for one of our old guests in Thailand, which was a curveball a day, but we did it and it was amazing. And then moved home to South Africa. We had our first child, opened up another hotel in Africa, and then left again back to New Zealand, where he's from, and we did a bit of work there. I had another child. Dom worked in construction as a project manager. Right. And then we just decided, we got to a point where we were a bit tired of working for other people's dreams instead of our own. And it was, we always worked hard and always worked long hours for, all the time. We just kind of thought, well, why aren't we doing it for our own thing? So we did loads of research. We saw companies similar to this around the world in all our travels. So we were like, this is a cool thing. And South Africa doesn't have many of them. So we did. We brought plastic-free, eco-friendly grocery shopping to South Africa. Moved back here. Within 3 months, we had, 3-4 months, we had our first store in Cedar Square and an online store as well.
That's
so a bit of worldwide traveling, but...
And a bit of a whirlwind at the same time.
I can imagine. Look, what shocked me the most about our chat this morning was the amount, the little bit of time you had from getting to South Africa and then starting a new business. It's unbelievable what you guys have done in the last couple of years. So
there was a lot of late nights when we were still in New Zealand, trying to phone here and contact suppliers and all that sort of stuff, doing that background work before we arrived. In an attempt that we could hit the ground running.
Right.
Still, look, it definitely didn't go as smoothly as we thought it would in our minds, but I guess that's the trick of everything, I guess, is how you balance that out and how you make a plan during those times.
Absolutely. Dom, now tell me, if you have to sum up Sam in 3 words, what would it be?
Oh, don't mess this up.
Wait, you put me on the spot there. You could have mentioned that one a bit earlier. Yeah, no, cool. I would say creative, driven, and full of life.
Like it. And Sam, now it's your turn for 3 words.
Dom's a tough one in words, but there's nothing he can't do. Okay. He's a problem solver, so I'd say problem solver. Our rock. Our rock and our fixer, actually, for everything from personal life to business.
Right.
Dom is a common phone call.
Right. Not sure how good a job I do of it, but
fantastic.
Well, I can deduct from that it's a good partnership. So tell me about how that pans out in the business. Who does what in the business at the moment?
We've had to figure it out as we go, to be honest, because
it's changed a lot.
It's changed a lot, and see where our strengths are. Because at the beginning, I threw a lot of things at Dom that I know that I'm terrible at. So I'm really bad with conflict and negotiations.
Fix that.
So I said, Dom, you deal with that because, suppliers, they give us this, and Dom says, no, how about that? Where I'm like, that sounds great. So we put him where he was better, and then I was in the more creative side, so like our branding and how to launch ourselves, then the customer experience side, which luckily we're both good at. Because of yachting, it was all about our guests, so we know how to give a good experience. So that's been both of us, and then instilling that into our team of amazing people that we have. But a lot of it has been, you're going to laugh, but YouTubing and Googling how to do anything. Like we'd get a thing from the tax man saying you have to submit this. We're like, Google, hello, quickly, let's get that out and figure it out. And we're getting to a point where we are finding the right people for the right roles, where we're lacking in a bit of skills. But we've done a great job of balancing. Make it till you make it. Yeah.
Right.
Really.
Makes sense.
I think, look, as well, it was a lot different when we had, say, one store and we just worked at it ourselves.
I did mornings, he did afternoons.
Which I think a lot of maybe a lot of people don't think that we actually did work in the store for a start. But I mean, without that, though, you don't have a handle on what's going on and what sort of changes and systems that you want to implement and that sort of thing. But luckily, it sort of gave us a great grounding in our own business before we did start to grow. So, and it's really just sort of gone this way a little bit for one of us, and then we go, now we've grown a bit, we've got a new role here, okay, I'll take that one on, I've got a bit of time here, and it's just been a bit of a juggling act. Sure.
Makes sense. Guys, now tell me about the entrepreneurial spirit. Where does this come from? Is it something you guys were born with? Did you learn from parents? Was it during the yachting that you got an understanding for entrepreneurship? Where did this all come from?
I think for me, it was something that I always wanted to do, but I didn't ever have. I didn't have that sort of light bulb moment of going, this is what I'm going to do it in. I always wanted to have my own business from young, but I was always kind of on the lookout for what that opportunity might be and what you might have to do with it. I definitely think yachting gave us an exposure to obviously some incredibly successful people and everything like that. And I guess that provides a bit of motivation for sure, where you look at it and you go, these guys are having a good time. And I've worked incredibly hard to get there and still work incredibly hard. But they look, it does provide, definitely it dangles a bit of a carrot for some long-term goals, that's for sure.
Right. And Sam, on your side, where do you think your entrepreneurial spirit comes from?
As a kid, I was the kid selling the ice lollies at horse shows and raffles and stuff like that, but only on a small scale. And I've always wanted to do my own thing, but same, never known what. And then I studied marketing, so it wasn't, you can't exactly jump into your own thing there. But my dad owned his own business for years in advertising, so it was nice to see that. And he always said, you've got to do your own thing because you've got to be your own boss and have your own say. And yachting, 100%. We both got to a point where we were like, we have the work ethic behind us, like work your fingers to the bone we do it for other people without a blink of an eye. So we just kind of thought, well, let's back ourselves and actually do our own thing instead of, helping somebody else's dream. So.
Right. So let's talk about the yachting. It's something something that comes up often, and I speak to young people. Everyone's talking about the yachting scene. So, and I know there's a TV show online about yachting as well, and people spending time on yachts. Yeah. So tell me about that. Do you guys think that's the new gap year for young people?
I think in a way that it was. I think we were very lucky when we were doing it. It was a very different environment to what it is now. Now it's less of that sort of a gap year opportunity for people, and it's a much more formalized sort of an industry.
You've got to invest a lot of money now to have the right courses. Where we went, you did
it was who you knew.
Who you met at the pub at night, basically.
Yeah. So look, we were very lucky in that we came into a sort of a looser sort of a system, I guess, there. And by the time we left, there was a lot more qualifications that we had to have than you had to when we started. So it was full of people who did it for a year or two. We got sucked into staying for a bit longer.
They call it the golden handcuffs, because as soon as you want to go, then they say one more season for a little bit more money, or here's a new area, like we'll go to the Maldives this year. Oh, we've got to do that. So then every year, I mean, even we got married and we said, that's it, now we're done. And then they said, oh, come on, one more season, and gave us both a raise, and we negotiated a better holiday package. And so we're like, one more season, we'll keep saving.
Right.
But I think as a gap year, like if people were thinking about it, we always tell people, like we get a lot of young people ask us, and we say no. If you're going, do it for 2 to 3 years, but have a time frame, because or else you get sucked in for life, and then you become a 45-year-old. Say for me, I'd be a woman cleaning a boat every day, you know.
Right.
So it for us the whole time we kept saying to ourselves, we're like, this has a time frame, and we just got to make the most of it. And it was about traveling and saving, and that's what we did. And we traveled and saved a lot. So it is good fun, though.
It does also come with a tricky. Whilst you've got, the longer you stay, you do gain a lot of transferable skills, but how you relay that to the real world and relate that to the real world is quite hard to do, as people think exactly that. Oh, you just went on a gap year, but you stayed for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
No, well, that's not entirely true. Like, I had studied the whole time while I was there. This was this, but
anything at the end to take.
But it doesn't. So it's very tricky to explain and kind of elaborate on what those skills are and how they actually do make you a valuable member of somebody else's team.
And we did try. It was another factor, I guess, for us to start our own thing, because yachting for us was a big chunk of our life's work, and people saw me as I just cleaned, even though there was other aspects of it, dealing with, billionaires' day-to-day schedules and, Dom running a massive machine, basically.
Right.
But you see it as you just partied all day, all night, and, cleaned all day. So it really was difficult for us to join the real world. So when we got back, we were almost 30. Our friends were, in their careers, cruising, where we were starting out asking for just actually like, we'll work for free, because we couldn't get any jobs. So it was definitely, you got to weigh those up. It was hard. It was hard to come back to real life.
Right. Dom, now you were saying, I think Sam also mentioned that they dangle this carrot in front of you. But besides the carrot, what did you guys learn from these wealthy people? Because obviously there's advantages to being in their space and learning from them as billionaires. What did you guys learn about wealth and entrepreneurship from those people?
I think one of the first things that you learn is that very quickly you learn about yourself, whether you want to spend all that money very quickly, or you want to kind of attain that money and maintain it. Especially the younger people that come into through yachting and that sort of thing, they tend to get very wrapped up in the big numbers that are involved, which are astronomical. But you either have to decide very quickly if it's basically paper money that has nothing to do with me and it's sort of unattainable or whatever, or you get wrapped up in that entire thing, and so you start spending like you're part of that world as well, which tends to very quickly unravel. And I think for us, our focus, as Sam mentioned, was we wanted to travel as much as we could, and we also wanted to save as much as we could. That was a vital thing for us. And then we saw that if you do look after that financial resource, then look, you can make albeit on another scale. Let's be very clear, but it does provide you with opportunities that you wouldn't get necessarily if you did just blow it or whatever. And I think the discipline that those guys show around what they do spend their money on and how disciplined they are in their day-to-day lives,
even though they don't often look like, a boat is it's a tax write-off almost generally, but they are, everything is for a reason. They know that X amount of, if they're going to holiday X amount of weeks a year on a boat, when you go over, I think whatever it was, 8 weeks, then you must own your own boat. Then it becomes better financially. But there is for me, working for them, we had, there's a lot of great people we worked for. One in particular he started out as nothing, and then he is now a massive billionaire. He owns a huge pharmaceutical company, and he still works from like 4 a.m. Then if he's got something on a day, he'll party all day. Then he goes back and he'll work throughout the night. And he'll fly, if he's got a holiday, he'll holiday there, but then he'll go for 2 days back to work. And it was kind of like that work was still his child and his baby and everything. And he also looked at it from every angle. So for us, we often will focus on one, and then we try and remember actually think of Refillery as a four-sided thing, not just here we are focusing on one aspect.
Right.
But also it beautifully showed that money doesn't buy you happiness. It buys you fabulous toys. But a lot of them were miserable. A lot of them were miserable. So, and the ones who still worked in business, because a lot of them, don't have to, but they had the right people in the right place. So they had a number one and a number two, so that they could do what they wanted to do, So I guess that's the lesson that we will work towards when we're at a place, to have people, the right people in the right position that you value. And I guess maybe we were that for him, because he put us where he needed us, he trusted us to open up a resort for him at that stage. So those were things that we learned, on both sides of the coin, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, so money is this funny thing. It's neutral, and it can be used for good, and it can be used for bad. But I often hear people, say only bad things about billionaires. And I know there's good billionaires out there as well. There's people that do really well with their money. So it's nice to hear that, there are some people who show the good side of money and having money.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, this one gentleman in particular, like a lot of them have so much money but don't care about it, where he loved his money and he would spend it on his friends and adventures, and he didn't want things. He always said life is for adventures, do something. There's nothing you cannot do, and if somebody tells you can't, find a way to do it and prove them wrong. So he showed us also, there's nothing we can't do. If there's a problem, and that's where Dom is so good with everything. And there's been 1 billion problems a day with the business, and there is no, okay, well, that's it. There's no way around that. There's 100% a way around this. We just got to figure it out. So that's been a great lesson, from one of the good billionaires out there.
Right. Fantastic. Guys, now tell me the idea around the Refillery. How did this all start? Just tell us what it's about, how it all started. Where did the idea come from?
So I think during our time while we were in yachting, we were going to these incredible locations where most people never get to go in their life, the majority. People will save their whole lives, maybe get there once, or you go to a private beach on an island in the middle of nowhere where nobody lives. And all of a sudden there's rubbish on the beach. So we're having to nip ashore before we take our guests in there. We then pick up, clean the beach where nobody lives.
Nobody lives on that.
And then it's such a shame, and it doesn't make sense, and it's all human impact and everything like that. And I think at the time that was about the extent of what we thought about. It is a shame, and what could we really do, and everything
we'll try
like
better
that.
in our own capacity, but that's it.
And it wasn't really until we had kids of our own that we thought, we really want them to be able to see these places that we'd been to as well, but see them in at least the same condition that we'd seen them in, if not better, because at the rate that we're going, they're not going to be able to. And I think that was the biggest push, where we decided, okay, maybe we can actually do something about this. And we started looking into it. And then in about 2017, I think, 17, we did plastic-free July for the first time.
Which in the rest of the world is a bit of a thing. South Africa doesn't know about it, but they encourage you to go plastic-free, completely plastic-free for the month of July. And I said to Dom, I was like, God, we could do a few things here. Like we could cut out the straws, the coffee cups, water bottles, all the things that we did, and the kids, the sandwich bags. We'll take away cling film, stuff like that. We're like, if we can do it for a whole month of the basics, then we'll keep those. And what we can't, we'll try. Because we had two children under 2. So like, let's not aim too high, but try. And then we did it and we loved it. And we saw like there was a whole world behind the zero waste lifestyle, plastic-free living. That wasn't weird or like, like there weren't people hugging trees and, in tie-dye. It was your everyday human being wanting to like just make a few little
It's a lot more normal than it's preconceived to be. The misconception is, like Sam says, it's tree-hanging hippies and it's barefoot and tie-dye and grey dreads and whatever. But it's actually a very mainstream concept in the rest of the world. Yes, it's a little bit behind maybe where it should be here, but we're working pretty hard to try and improve that. So that was kind of our first foray into it, and it just kind of grew from there, basically.
So why do you think South Africa is a bit behind on this concept? What's wrong with South Africa in terms of how we deal with plastic?
I think it's a bit. I mean, the whole world is about convenience, but for us as well, there's not many options. So when we did look into it more, we're like, okay, well, the problem is grocery shopping. So I'd go once a week with the kids, and then you throw away a huge bag full of plastic. So the whole time we kept going, well, you can't do everything. So we can't decide we're going to walk everywhere and not, like all those little things. You can't do everything. So we took the biggest one in our lives, the biggest impact that we're contributing to in a negative way. And we're like, well, how do we do that? And South Africa doesn't have many. There are some, but they're not easily accessible for everyone. And that's why we changed ours a bit to make it more mainstream. So it's not a niche store. We made it look really good, but it's not an expensive store at all. We're a family of 4 with 2 small children. We can't afford super expensive, organic only, all these fancy things. We live a very normal life. So we thought if we made it like going to any other grocery store just without the packaging and the plastic, we could convince everyone to come in. And I think giving people the option in South Africa now they're waking up and the movement's huge here, and it's not just the shopping side. Like people are making a difference in every other way with rubbish cleanups, recycling, our informal side of recycling is an amazing industry.
A huge
which
industry.
I think is fantastic. For
informal recycling, I think, is worth about 7 billion rand in this country a year.
Wow.
And that's a service that has sprung up out of a need because the infrastructure is non-existent, basically. I mean, you've only got to look at how many municipalities and everything are in debt, and they owe here, they owe there. The service delivery is not great. The education and awareness around the damage that plastic does is not great. It's something that's improving all the time, but there's also a lack of sort of government incentive for that to change as well. So, look, we do our little bit where we can, and we try and grow that awareness as much as we can. But it is something that's growing all the time.
No, one of my sins is that I collect these reusable bags from the local store. And I don't know how to change that. Every time I get to the store and they say, "Sir, do you want some more bags?" I'm like, "Yes, please, lots of bags." I don't know what to do. So I'm not sure how to make this mind shift. So please tell me, what's step 1 for me and my family?
Step 1 is leave them in your boot. Don't put them inside. Leave them in your boot. That way they're always there. Then you just push the trolley out, even if you've forgotten.
We do. So we often forget them, and that's us who this is like all day, every day we think about. But we'll reload the trolley completely without bags. So the whole thing is just all the groceries back in. And then we load it into the car. Or even if you put a crate in your boot, so that when you load it back in, you just chuck it in the crate. Yeah. Or if your bag's in the boot, at least then you can do it. But we don't even get looked at weirdly when we pack it all back in. They're like, okay, pack it straight back in. I'm like, yeah, can we? I forgot my bags and I don't need any more. But the bag thing is, yeah, it is hard. And you need a handbag. Girls have handbags, boys need boots, I guess. That's the only way.
Absolutely. So it is a bit of a mindset. Well, what I like about the name that you guys chose was it's almost like a reminder every time you come into the shop that you have to refill your containers. So tell me about the name and how you guys got to the name.
Sure. My dad helped us.
We did workshop.
We workshopped a whole bunch.
We came up with a list, like an A4 page of just name. And we go through. We had about probably 10 rounds of, okay, you eliminate one, I'll eliminate one.
We asked friends and family as well what they thought. But the refilling thing, because like you say, it brings it back to that. So instead of constantly buying more jars or more bags, just reuse, refill, repurpose, whatever you have. So it kept bringing it back to that as our core. So like we get suppliers asking us, please stock my product, it's in glass. And we try and steer clear because we're about refilling. We're not about the only eco, it's not just the eco stuff in glass and whatever. We want people to stop putting things out there to be recycled. So use what you have. We have enough already. We can keep using it. So that's why we thought that the Refillery, it just like it did. It kept coming back to the whole purpose behind the store, not adding more to the environment, taking out and repurposing what we already have, type 5.
Right.
But it was I don't know. We gave it a show. We're like, it sounds nice. What do we think? It's always a hard one to name.
Well, I think it was a perfect decision. It was such a self-explanatory brand. I love it. So tell me, in terms of the fierce competition that you guys have in the food industry, do you think the idea of refilling and repurposing is what gives you guys the competitive advantage, or are there other things that you guys have to do to stay competitive?
Look, I think that's for us. That's who we are. That's our brand. That's what we do. Currently, look, there are a few other alternative options for people in terms of shopping in our style. In terms of the major brands and everything like that, look, we're priced as competitively and everything like that, but we will offer our customers, we will back our service, our customer service, our customer relations 100%. And it's a real experience. When you come into the store, it's such a hands-on and interactive experience that I think that as well is what people love, Whether you've got kids and you're bringing them in, it's easier to get them involved rather than slapping their hands away and stopping them from touching everything on the shelf. Whereas you can actually get them involved, take that over to the scale, weigh that, what's the number, how much is it? Do we need more or less? And people really enjoy that interactive nature. And I think that combined with we've got a fantastic team that work with us and their engagement with all of our customers as well. Those are two major factors on what give us a real edge for sure.
It does. Sets us apart. Like a lot of people always say when they visited, they'll message me on Instagram or email us, or when the next time they come, they mention our teams by name. They'll say, I was chatting to Scotty and she told me to use this, and now I've used it, and I've changed my whole cereal in the morning because of it. And there's that personal relationship, which you don't get at the major retailers, obviously. So I think that sets us apart completely. And it's something that we work on non-stop to stay forefront and the customer service side.
Right. Listen, now you guys were talking about helping yourself to the produce and so on. How do you keep those little hands out of the pots, out of the chocolate? Is that something you see happening in the shops so the kids get involved? Because I can just imagine if I take my kids there, it's going to be chaos.
It's not too bad, actually. At the very beginning, we had to explain, but people get nervous. So it's not the kids, like they don't know what it is. Am I allowed to even touch? So people would even err on the side of caution. They'd be like, so how does it work? And then they ask, like, must I do But people are generally really good. They love the store. And the kids, honestly, love being involved. Like mine come here every day and they know what they want. So they go grab a bag, grab the tongs, get some dried mango and a dried fruit roll, bring it over to the girls and they weigh. And it's because our team's so good, it is almost like a personal service. When you walk in, we're not always, it's not 1,000 people in our store. It's a small handful of, people, and we get chatting, we help. There's always somebody there to help you. So that's never really been an issue, luckily.
Right.
And I think as well with new customers, we can identify new customers very quickly. So we can catch them as they come into the store and we walk them through everything, how it works, what our products are and everything like that. So it's very easy and very quick to explain and people appreciate that and they get on board. It's like I say, it's that the interactive nature of it seems to be a big part of what people find very appealing. That's for sure.
Right. So I'm looking at your online shop. I see jars and things, baking, beans and pulses, cereal, cleaning products, condiments. Now, last night I was looking at, I think I went into DIY. I want to ask you guys about this one specific product. I've never heard of this, and this might just be my ignorance, but what is bentonite clay?
There's lots, to be honest. Before we started, there are products that we didn't even know either, that we were just like, what is that for? And we gave it a try. So bentonite's got a few uses, and it is a bit weird, but you can put it in your bath as like a detoxing thing. If you're feeling unwell, it kind of pulls toxins out of the body, as well as like after gym and stuff. A lot of people use it for that recovery, but then also as a cleanser. So there's as a digestive cleanser. You add a few items and it. So
you take there's a teaspoon.
You can actually drink it.
Yes. Yeah. You mix it in with about a half a cup of water and drink it, and then helps clean you out a little bit.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, weird and wonderful things. Weird and wonderful.
All right, guys. Now let's just change direction a bit. If we talk about investment and how you guys started with funding, was that at all a problem in the beginning, or was it all self-funded? Just for people out there starting their own businesses, how did this all happen?
It is.
It was, and it is.
Okay.
It's a constant.
So
constant battle.
Yeah, we self-funded our first store.
We sold our house.
We sold our house in New Zealand when we moved back here, and that's basically what paid for the first store, and everything that was set up around that. For our second store, we were able to secure a loan for that, and then from there, the COVID thing kicked in, unfortunately, 3 weeks after our second store opened. So look, it was incredibly stressful and everything like that. But down the line, it did enable us it opened up some opportunities for us with landlords and that sort of thing, where they saw the value of our brand being a real point of difference in their centers and bringing something unique to their customers. So that sort of allowed us to gain a bit of leverage, where we got assistance from landlords and doing the shop fitting and that sort of thing. If it wasn't for that, at the moment,
we'd still have just 2.
We'd still only have a couple of stores for sure.
And it is from like the loan that we secured wasn't via banks, because they won't touch you with a barge pole. So they kept saying 2 years, 3 years. 3 years.
Too new, too small, too risky.
That's what they kept saying. So, and to be honest, still say it to us. So we're lucky that the store from day one it paid for itself, so that we could live and the store could continue. And it is something, like from a business side, the cash flow is a constant nightmare, and we outlay a hell of a lot in stock. We have a lot of stock sitting on shelves. So the juggling of cash flow has been our steepest and hardest learning curve, and we're still learning. That's the problem. Every time we think we've got it, like we were getting to a point where we were budgeting, saving, and the VAT throws you in there, and then there's a little of this and a couple of, contingency plans. Then COVID hit us, and we were like, throw it all at COVID. Okay, let's survive COVID, head above water. And then you try and pull yourself back, and then trends change. So it has. It's been and it will, I guess, continue to always be. Everyone says cash flow is the killer of small businesses. So we see that every day.
It's definitely an interesting balancing act on it, and on a tightrope. Not on a beam or anything like that. It's a narrow path that you have to track for sure. But without external backing and everything like that, I mean, I think it's vital for us as well for the long-term sustainability of our business. We have to. The more we maintain that balance now, it will only hold us in better stead later on. So it's one of those growing things that I think if your business is going to survive long term, then I think you have to go through it. Otherwise there's a chance your business doesn't survive long term.
Yeah. So I always tell entrepreneurs when they start out, I say, if you haven't paid salaries from your credit card, or you haven't sold your car or house to get through a month, you haven't been an entrepreneur long enough yet. Yeah. It's all part of it.
And it's almost like that. And 10 rands.
Yes, exactly. It's almost like you have to go, as you said, Dom, you have to go through that to understand how deeply you care about your business. Because, I mean, if it wasn't a dream or something you care about deeply, you would just give up and, do something else.
There's a lot easier ways to make a lot more money than this, that's for sure.
I agree.
If you're somebody who likes your set monthly salary or whatever,
this is not
and the comfort and safety that provides, this is not the game for you, that's for sure.
Right. We often at months by the end we go, can't believe we made that. That's pretty amazing. We juggled, we shifted, we pivoted. Okay, next month. Okay, let's see if we can crush it again. Amazing. So we keep going.
Let's see if we can pay ourselves next month instead of just everybody else.
One day.
Yeah, you're last in line. Remember that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I think the nice thing about having a food store is you can at least eat your stock if things do go wrong.
We do. Well, when COVID happened, I said we literally have become everybody's bunker because we have dry goods that go off in 2 to 3 years. So if it went full zombie apocalypse, everyone was coming straight to us for safety.
We were covered.
We were fine. Food is fine.
Right.
We just had to add a bit more security in to keep us safe.
Got it. Guys, now, you just mentioned now, money is obviously not the motivator when you start a business. So what motivated you guys in the beginning, and how has that changed to this point? Has it changed at all, or is it the same motivation that keeps you going every day?
I think it always, I wouldn't say it's changed, I'd say it always develops. Like for me, the bigger we can grow, the bigger impact we can have. Like it was fantastic when we started out, we thought this is cool, we're doing a bit. We're doing what we can, which is cool. And we were servicing a small community and everything like that. As we've grown a bit, look, that community's also grown and our impact has been able to grow exponentially as well. So I think that for me is one of the coolest things to be able to see, where you go from servicing 1,000 people a month to 5,000 people a month, say. And then as word spreads and that becomes bigger and bigger and more self-generating as well. So I think that's one of the coolest things to see for me.
And to have something of our own is another. It's like there was nothing for us before this, if you know what I mean. So we didn't have the right fit ever. So this is like a driving factor. Like I say, it's not the money. The money has to, we have to have a roof over our head and food and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we've created a space for ourselves where there was none, which is a really cool thing. We've found our own niche. We found our own strengths. We're growing, we're learning, and it's something our kids will definitely be proud of us. Like one day, we made something out of nothing. Depending however long we go for, however big we grow, and even if we stay this small, we pretty chuffed with that of where we are and how far we've come. So,
right. Sam, so talk to me about meaning and purpose, because I think you're touching on that. If you think about what this business does for you guys in terms of generating meaning and purpose to life, do you see that happening in the business for yourself and for Dom?
Absolutely, sure. Like it's a job and it's a hard job, but at the same time, like it's a little bit of giving back. It's got a greater. It's not just us, you know, there's a need in the market. We provide the product for that need. It's more than that. There's people do need food to eat. So that's one way, but people also need another alternative to shopping, you know, so wastefully. So that's us. And then on the greater scale, like some people will often say like, oh, what is the difference? One plastic bag times 6 trips a week to the grocery store, or once a week, 365 days a year. It's a hell of a lot, you know.
And it's at 150 years a bag.
Yeah, and it's those little things when you add it up like that. Like in our first year, we did a stat on how much food we had sold without packaging, and I think it was 7.2 tons of food.
Wow.
And it was kind of like that's a lot of food. And if you think packaging would be 100 grams, 250, whatever, we did it on an average. You know, I think it was a 500 gram across the board, which would be, you know, not as accurate, but it would be, you know, giving them
more conservative.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But when you look at things like that, you go, that is a bit of a difference. You know, we may be small and, you know,
all the small steps add up.
Yeah.
You know? And I think
Yes.
and from our point of view, that's the case on the impact that we can have as a business. From a community and an environmental point of view, but also from a business perspective, all those little steps that we do and we take as well, ideally they all add up and they're helping our business grow and continue to be sustainable for us as a business as well. And I guess that's why, like in terms of purpose and that sort of thing, that's why we work until we go to bed at night, and we get up early the next morning and we do it again, and all those sorts of things. So it's all for me. It's all about all those little things and how they add up, for sure.
Got it. Guys, we're going to take a quick ad break, and when I come back, I want to talk to you about how your talents and abilities got you to what you do today. Be back now.
Want to accelerate your life? Start by finding your purpose. Purpose has become somewhat of a cliche, but in recent years, research has shown that purpose is a tool that can be used to enjoy the abundant life. Yes, you too can become wealthy and live a meaningful life. We have developed an action-packed 6 weeks online course that takes you through 6 critical steps to start taking massive action towards your abundant life. Go to www.takeaseat.tv and click on Academy. Get ready to accelerate.
that's okay.
Right, we're back. Sam, so tell me about talents and abilities, because at Take a Seat, we believe that if you focus on your talents and abilities, it leads to purpose and it leads to something bigger than yourself, something to live for every day. Like we said, as an entrepreneur, money can't be the driver. You can't have your mood connected to your bank account. It has to be connected to something else and to purpose. So talk to me about talents and abilities and how you think your abilities and talents have played into the business.
Sure.
If you go first,
I'll give it a shot. I studied marketing, and I come from, my dad was in advertising. It's super creative. Right. And I've always loved a creative, you know, look and take on the world. So I do think that helped us when it came to the Refillery. We didn't look at it, you know, from a square angle, and especially the Refillery isn't your standard shop. So it has to, everything is done differently. So anything from like, you don't buy scissors that are plastic, you buy the stainless steel scissors, type 5, all those little things. We adapted to every aspect of our business. So we use the creative side and our take on that to grow it, and having no money. So everyone's like, what's your budget for marketing? Oh, I did study marketing. Cool. I get it. And my dad was in advertising, so I know you need to do it. I'm fully aware, but there is no budget. Zero from zero is still zero. I can't make it out of nothing. And I guess we managed to, I learned how to do Instagram because I never had it before, and using.
I did not.
No, and he still doesn't. He hates it. But using it.
A nice easy one where I get to push that over and just say, cheers.
But from the, I'm pretty good at the creative side, but also I have quite good interpersonal skills, customer relationships. I think I've grown our following because I chat to them all the time. So I chat to them, they know it's me. I say it's Sam, and then they know Sam is part of one of the owners of the business. Then they ask a question, oh, I love the store. Oh, thanks so much. And we chat, and why did they come, and will they come back? And then it was literally, I think people saw that this is our business. It's not just, here, there's a nice picture of us in front of our store, please come and support us. It was, here is also us at 9:00 at night answering a message, or midnight, or packing orders till all hours of the morning during lockdown. They saw us, and then we also delivered it. So people were like, is it you doing the deliveries too? Like, yeah, wanted to see, is everything okay? And, learning from that side, like making sure we were forefront of it. I guess that helped us a great deal. I hope it helped us a great deal. Right. From that side. And definitely the customer experiences thing from yachting, both of us are good with people. So people, that's the only reason we exist, is because people like us and come back. So, and we found a way to, find the right team as well, because finding good people is incredibly hard. And we found amazing people who are a lot like us, who are likable, chatty, outgoing, like can talk to anybody about oat flour. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what we kind of have to do. And what are you cooking today? And I'm going to cook this, and I cook that. So I think it's taking something that's not maybe like a proper skill in terms of I do accounting for a living or whatever, and making it work. Not tangible, but make it work for us so that we could grow a following and people to keep coming back. And at the beginning, when it was just us working, people would often say they came back because they wanted to have a chat with Dom about this, or Sam said I must try that, so I'll go back and tell Sam I tried it. Right. So it definitely helped us from there, for sure.
Right. Well, I mean, that's so crucial in that business, the people skills. I mean, that's so significant. I mean, and not everyone is blessed with having people skills. So, I mean, for you guys to have that is perfect for that business. Dom, and on your side, I heard about problem solving. How much is that? How important is that in a business like this?
I'd say it's fairly critical. Again, I'm not sure how good I am at it, but
fantastic.
It's daily. It's daily. It really is daily. There's something crops up every day where you think, okay, cool. This week we should be fairly chilled. We're on top of everything. Blah, 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 blah. And then on Monday, you can guarantee something happens, and it wipes out your week. It's just about being as adaptable as possible, trying to not get caught up in all of the individual aspects of what the issue is, but trying to look at that picture from as large a lens as possible, I guess. So you can try and see that bigger picture and see, okay, we might not be able to do it this way how we thought. If we redirect and we go that way instead, are we still going to get the same results? If we are, cool. If we're not, can we make that result even better than what we were looking at in the first place?
Right.
It's that old saying, I guess, there's a million ways to skin a cat. Which is horrible, but it's true, like there's it just, I guess it takes just step back and try and see that bigger picture and where you want to go, and not being too fixed on that final destination. That's not the destination. The journey is kind of the destination.
What it's about. Yeah.
We found it, like at the beginning, we had a lot of advice. I mean, everyone will give you advice. Even if you don't want, everyone, even still every day, we get a lot of advice, and we do take a lot of it on board. But when we were starting, people told us to read this book because you don't need to outlay the money on X, Y, and Z, or do this because it'll save you. You don't need to spend that on a brand, or like everyone had an opinion. And I think for startups, you get so lost in, do we need a business plan, or what's the what are we projecting for 2 years? We didn't do any of that. We went with what's important to us. So we were like, it has to look good. It has to be unique, and it has to be done well. We always say, if something's worth doing, do it with style. So that's where we poured our money. We put money into the look and feel of our business, setting it up right. Instead of setting it up temporary, and then in 6 months down the line, doing it right, So our aim was to do it right in the first place, which I'm glad we did, because we've changed it so many times and we've just gotten better and better. When we look back at how we started, we're like, oh, how did we start like that? But the whole thing was geared to, we go in with a bang, because we don't have the marketing spend, we don't have the budget to redesign down the line. This is what we have now, and this is what we're going to go with. And we went against the grain to loads of people's opinion on it. They said, like, test us out in markets, just like let the brand find itself, let people decide. And we were like, no.
We wouldn't be here today if we did that.
Right. So there's also like a level of back yourself. And a lot of it has gone wrong. Don't get me wrong. We've learned a lot of hard lessons where this is going to 100% work, and it hasn't 100% worked. But because we have a pretty good relationship, both sides. It's like that didn't work. What's next? Let's figure the next one. Okay, we'll do the next one better, and we'll work from that.
And we can tell each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
It was a bad idea. We should have done that in hindsight. And laugh about it.
We do laugh and laugh at yourself. Gosh, yeah.
Right. So there's a lot of frustration and stress during those conversations. Have you guys learned any shortcuts to get past all of that and get back going and get up and move forward again?
Yeah, we have to cut some. Dom has a way of talking for days about the same thing. So I'll often just be like, is it a solvable one? Yes, no, yes. Okay, that's all I need to know. That's from me. And we've had to we were doing, for a long stage, we were both doing everything. And then we got to a point where we were both a bit burnt out, and we went, okay, I don't need your help on any of this X, Y, and Z, and you don't need my help on that. Let's completely respect each other's space and time and skills and what we've learned. And then at the same time, also through learning from not communicating it, we got to a point where we were like, I need more help. Please, can you take a bit more off my plate? I'm not coping at the moment. Because it ebbs and flows. When things are busy for me, they're sometimes not for Dom, and then he can help me, and then vice versa. So it's constantly adapting. We don't have a role. There is no set roles. There's no set nothing. If next week Dom has to take over Instagram, we may be in trouble, but I back him to give it a good go.
Right.
So that's
start YouTubing a lot of stuff very quickly.
Absolutely. Do a quick
I think
on Thursday night.
That we've learned, and we've had to try and every so often we do get caught in our own tunnel vision on this side of we're doing this and I'm doing this and whatever, but trying to keep each other informed is by setting time aside to actually sit down and keep each other informed, because
during a work setting
it is so easy to just focus on what you're doing, and you get so wrapped up in that it is important that we do need, rather than just when we're at dinner or watching TV or whatever it might be, which, look, I mean, we're constantly talking about it anyway, but actually setting time aside during the day away from everything else to keep each other posted with what is going on, what our problems are, what we're aiming to achieve, and all of that sort of stuff is so crucial, I think, for that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like you guys communicate really well, even your private life and in the business. It sounds like that's a key factor in that relationship.
It's always been pretty easy. Since we met in yachting, we've worked together. So we did 1 year apart where we did different boats. And since then, we've always worked together. So all day, every day. So a normal 9 to 5 would be pretty horrific for us.
Which we did in New Zealand.
We did. And we didn't see him, and it was horrid. And we were like, got to change this. So this is, I mean, even though we see each other almost all day, every day, we'll still on the way home phone each other to discuss what happened and what are you doing, and the kids aren't doing this, so we have a really good communication base.
Our phone bills are large.
I can imagine. So tell me about your schedule, your daily schedule. What does a typical day look like for you guys as a married couple, as parents, and as business owners?
It's busy. We start early because we both try and gym.
5, like up at 5, gym,
right.
Kids to school, get kids up at 6, kids to school by 7, into work.
One store. So we generally we schedule our week one store each a day, so we don't overlap unless we have to for a meeting. And so we'll schedule it like that, and we'll either do half the day there, then the kids finish school at midday. And because our kids are at an awkward age where they're at two different schools, one finishes at 12, the other one at 1, and it's a tough day. That's why we start early, so you can get enough done before 12. Drop them at home, and then I'll often work from home till the end of the day so I can be with the kids. Because that is also the reason we did this, was because family is more important. Yeah, and I want to be with my children, and we want to be a family rather than, you know, see you on a Friday night type vibe and see the kids on the weekend. So for us, it's important that we still go home. When the kids are at home, then one of us is there, unless things get manic, which happens quite often, but we'll often take them with us to a store, and Dom will then do, if I'm home with the kids, he'll then work the rest of the day at a store, because there's a lot of moving stuff from store to store, setting up new stores. At the moment, it's quite it's been exhausting. And often when we opened up this store, which is in Morningside, we had life threw us a bit of a curveball. So every night we were sitting up here till like midnight, the kids sleeping in the storeroom, just so that we could, you know, do this till late at night, because it was just us setting it up and decanting and setting. You know, it was hectic.
Right.
But we have a bit more help now. We've got good teams, and everybody helps us.
It essentially works out as being work all during the day and then start your own job at night.
Right.
Yeah.
So you fall asleep in front of the TV or whatever it is.
Right. So when you guys think about family, do you think about that the kids might get involved one day? This might be a family business one day. Have you guys got aspirations of that one day?
Definitely make them work in here.
Definitely they're going to go to work, that's for sure.
It sounds like free labor for a couple of years.
I was going to say
it will not be good for them. But
right.
The hours will be long.
Okay. Got it.
But I do think it's something they could take over. Like that would be why they would like have to start at the bottom and learn. Like, because for us, learning how to clean the store and do everything from the bottom up makes us know. You know, it's not like, oh, is it hard to do that? We actually know what's hard, and
you value that. Yeah.
So we value our people and the time and the tasks that are day to day. So we know that if our kids can do that as well, they will value what we've done, you know, and like when they see us down the line, you know, like, geez, how did you get it all done in a day? We'll probably both go, I don't know, like, have no idea. But I hope they travel. Like, we both want them to travel. It made us better people, and we found each other through that. So when they're good and ready and bring some skills to the table, let's hope. We'll tell them where we're lacking in skills, and maybe they could study one of those.
They could just prioritize.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you guys talked earlier on, we don't have a lot of time left. I think you guys open at 9, am I right?
Yes.
We do.
Yes, we do.
So just one or two last questions. Just how important were the people in the business, the human side, the human resource factor? How important has that been to your success?
It's everything.
Yeah.
100% everything.
It's huge.
From us at the beginning to doing it, when it was just us, we learned what people wanted, what they liked, their complaints, their suggestions, and we took it all on board, and we were like, we can do this later, hopefully down the line, but we'll do this now. And it was good for us to learn how to value people's opinions and how they saw our store, and not just how we saw it. And then as we brought people in, because we couldn't do it all ourselves, having the right people who care about your own child basically is invaluable. And we have those people. Like, we truly have the best teams at all our stores, and we keep finding, they keep coming, and it's unbelievable how we do. But they care as much as we do about our business.
Amazing.
So we've had some
hiccups along the way,
and we've learned. We've got some great business lessons from it. We have.
But yeah, look, we're very lucky that we've found a great team, and
we've grown together and learned together.
We keep coming across new people as we have new stores, and one, like Sam just mentioned earlier, was for us it's vital that everybody comes in at the same level. They start just working, say, part-time in the stores or whatever it is, so they start off with that base level of exposure, they see a little bit more, then as something becomes available, it's much easier for that person to step into that breach rather than bringing somebody else in cold. And they've got a greater appreciation for everything else, all the other operational aspects of the business as well, which is great for us. So that's something that's also a vital thing for us.
And we have grown we managed to grow with lockdown. We didn't have to let anyone go, which was amazing. We all
well done.
And then we doubled in size to more than with our team since then. And we know that they are the face of our business now as well. So people remember them and what they had, their opinion on X, Y, and Z, and what they eat and what they like and what they don't like, and why they want to work here as well. Because it's not just a job; they want to work here for a purpose behind it as well.
Love that. So if I give you guys a choice between choosing skills or character, which would you choose?
Character. You can teach skills, but you can't teach character.
Absolutely.
Easy.
Absolutely. Right, and then my final question: if you guys could choose 3 things that you want to change in the world today, what would it be?
COVID would be gone.
Absolutely.
That'd be helpful.
I'm in agreement.
That's gone. That's one.
There's 3 things in the world.
Or South Africa.
Look, for me, I'd like to see a greater focus on the impact on the environment and everything like that plastic has, and that trying to get an infrastructure in place that's actually functional and trying to make that much more circular. I think there's great opportunities in this country for that to happen. It's got all the potential in the world. It's just about getting the right people to be motivated enough to actually put all those things in place.
Maybe a bit more helpful small businesses and actually value small businesses and the people behind them. We had a lot of COVID, we support small businesses. This is the bank for you and this for you, or we'll help you here. And nobody did. It was us that helped ourselves and our team that helped us and our customers that helped us. So to say we value small business, I would love for people, for the big guys to actually value small business, because it's kind of like everyone's trying to rebuild themselves now with this, the world. And if we don't support each other properly without just saying it, yes, I support small businesses, or a big business that helps the little guy, where not many people do.
It's a famous sort of catch cry in this country in a way to say, small businesses are the backbone of the country and everything like that. You go, well,
but you don't actually see it.
They are.
Yes.
So there does need to be a real support structure in place to enable those businesses to grow. If you just taking us as a very small sample, in 2.5 years, we've gone from employing ourselves to now I think we're at 17 people, I think, off the top of my head. So as a very small sample, there are opportunities to help grow this country and grow this economy and everything like that. But it really does take a conscious effort, I think, to truly support the small business side of things, rather than just from a marketing, and it makes for a great speech.
Absolutely. When you look at a country like Germany, 90% of the economy is driven by small business. And it's so significant all over the world. That's the case. But in South Africa, it's such a small part of our economy. The latest research shows 263,000 small businesses in our country. That's really small compared to the rest of the world. So I agree wholeheartedly with you guys. I think we do all the talking, but we're not seeing the action. And I think COVID showed that perfectly. Businesses were on their own. It's like you guys said, we have to survive on our own and do our own thing and get out of that mess by ourselves.
Absolutely. Make a plan.
We've got 47% unemployment. Look, what better way to try and decrease that by supporting guys who can. Look, if everybody takes on one person, if they're able to grow to a point where they can employ one more person, that adds so much more value
It's the same as the one plastic bag. It's the
it starts with one.
Start with one. Start with one idea, one business, and support them and be loyal, or put your money where your mouth is and actually help people. So
what's next for you guys?
We open up a new store this week.
Wow.
If we ever get some sleep. So we've got one more opening this week in London.
Okay.
And then hopefully we're going to
I can hear the store opening now.
And this one.
So yeah, then it's about a bit of consolidation for a while.
Yeah.
To try and make sure everything's
tweak everything,
running as smoothly as it should.
Yeah.
And then next year we'll see what next year's growth looks like. Hopefully we'll be in a position where we can spread our wings a bit further than Gauteng.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Right. Love it. Dom, Sam, thanks so much for your time. It's been wonderful talking to you guys. I'm going to pack my plastic bags in my car and go visit my local Refillery soon. So thanks very much for your time. I know it's taking an hour from an entrepreneur is a big thing, but I love what you guys are doing. It's so inspiring to hear from you guys, and I think it's going to be inspirational for a lot of people out there to listen to your story and journey. So thanks so much for your time.
Amazing. Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah. Thank you.
Pleasure. Have a good morning and enjoy the week.
You too. Thanks. Cheers, you too. Cheers, Kevin.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Pleasure. Bye.